You're the guy people call when they need a helping hand, moving furniture, unloading a truck. But lately, your shoulder's been acting up, and you're the one who's calling for help. And that's the moment you realize you can no longer shoulder the load.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care, with a range of surgical and non-surgical treatments. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 685, Daily Weigh-In, How Do I Deal with Cravings?
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hey friends, welcome to the Pound This Podcast. I am your host, Amanda Valentine, and I have been obese for most of my life. I'm going to say about 6 years old or so, spent well over a decade yo-yo dieting. And then about 10 years ago, I made a New Year's resolution to stop dieting and start making the best decision possible in every moment. And from then, my entire life has changed. I've lost over 100 pounds. I started this podcast at the beginning of 2018 to help other people on their weight loss journeys or their journeys to become healthier people. And I have quit my full-time 9-to-5 job, become a certified personal trainer, a certified nutrition coach, and I want to do everything in my power with my own personal journey to help you on yours. So if you're listening to this podcast and you find any value in any episode you listen to, please, please, please share the love, share with family, friends, anyone you think that could find some benefit from this podcast. And you can always reach out to me with any questions or comments. You can email me at amanda@amandavалентиnebites.com. It's my goal to give you the best information possible for your journey and let you know that you're not alone. I appreciate you listening so much, and I would really appreciate you also sharing the love with this small business entrepreneur as I try to make my life's mission helping other people live their best lives. So here we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I am Amanda Valentine, and this is the Daily Weigh-In, where I take your questions and answer them, mostly from my Instagram page. I usually put some questions up in my stories. You can find me at You Can Pound This, but you can always email me questions at amanda@amandavалентиnebites.com. I can either answer them right there or record a podcast and answer those questions, or both, whatever. I love your questions, so bring them on. Today's question is, how do I deal with cravings? And yeah, cravings are a thing, and cravings can tend to be a problem if you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to hit your healthy goals, etc. So my advice personally, with my own background of losing weight and maintaining, and now being a certified personal trainer and nutritionist, etc., I'd say eat the damn thing. I mean, in my experience, I say go for it in some moderation. I think that's finding the balance and finding a relationship with the things that you have cravings with, because I think denying yourself those things leads to binging. Because if you're restricting so hard, all you're going to do is think about it. I don't know why my example all the time is hot dogs, but I guess cheese balls would be better for me because I do have an issue with cheese balls. But it's like, if you tell yourself, hey, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to quote unquote be good, I'm eating healthy, hot dogs aren't really on the healthy list. I mean, really, there's really not a whole lot of redeeming nutritional factors to hot dogs. Other than they just, taste good. I mean, there's some protein in there, but there's also some buttholes and lips and tails and claws and stuff like that too. But we're talking about that. We're talking about it's delicious. I want to eat the dang thing. But if you tell yourself like, listen, that's not healthy food. You put it in this category as it's a bad food because, it's really not doing a whole ton of good things for you. And you tell yourself you can't have it, then you just keep thinking about it. Like, oh God, I could really go for a hot dog, until you keep telling yourself you can't have it, till one day you just go bonkers and then you eat 6 hot dogs. You know what I mean? Or then you just have this weird relationship. You have this restrictive relationship with hot dogs. So I say, like, if you're really craving a hot dog, just eat a hot dog. a hot dog. You know what I'm saying? Maybe have a couple bites of a hot dog, whatever feels good. Clear it out of your head and let's get out of there. You know what I mean? For me, that has been the best method. Now, if you're saying something like I'm addicted to sugars and I have just cravings for sweets all the time, I think that's going to have to go into a place where we retrain your palate a little bit, because if you are eating those high palatable, really sugary sweets, then that's what your taste buds are saying that is what's sweet. That's what's good. Then fruit and everything else doesn't really kind of have that, brain light up effect, isn't really giving you the serotonin dopamine hit that you need. Then you're going to have a problem where that's all you crave. But if you kind of give yourself a break and back off and pump the brakes on those things, again, I would never tell anybody to totally get rid of something. Even though I have personally, it's because that's my own personal relationship with things. That's something where you need to step back and be like, okay, can I completely cut this out and be okay? And if not, then you got to moderate it. You know what I mean? You got to figure out what's healthy for you. But to try to get more of the natural sweets in, you know what I'm saying? Like the more of the fruits. And if you're sitting there like, I'm craving sweets, because I crave sweets at the end of the day. And I do want something sweet. And that's just something I know about me. And so I find like, what hits that sweet pleasure center without sitting there eating a box of, Ho-Hos or whatever, or eating some like Muddy Buddies or just anything that is like sweet, snacky, and delicious. So part of that is also finding the workaround. For me, because I like to end the day with sweets, I like having the Kodiak cakes with protein powder and some mini chocolate chips, or I'm eating yogurt or cottage cheese with fruit and mini chocolate chips. The mini chocolate chips do the job for me. Am I eating a ton of them? No, it ends up being about a handful or whatever. But that kind of like kills that craving. And there's a million different workarounds you can have. So I would say that also is if you find yourself craving whatever it is, the sweets, if you're craving the snacky, savory, salty, can you find something that satiates that need, that is on the healthier side, that is actually doing something for you, that is giving something for you other than just kind of empty calories, highly processed sugar, salts, fats, etc. Like doing like the roasting some chickpeas and putting some good flavorings on that kind of satisfies that, and it kind of satisfies the hand to mouth movement. So that way you're getting, some healthier carbs and you're getting some healthier proteins in there. If you're roasting them in some olive oil, getting the healthy fats. If you're trying to make it more balanced, of getting your macros in with these snacks too, if you're thinking, high protein, you're getting a little bit of carb in there, you're getting some fats in there, and you're kind of filling yourself, then that's amazing. And so finding those workarounds as easy as, I think, just doing a Google search, going to Pinterest, following people on social media. I mean, there's so many TikTok videos of people showing really good snacks. When I saw, this is not mine, I saw this on TikTok to satisfy that sweet craving. I haven't tried this, so I can't vouch for it, but it looks pretty legit. Is somebody took 2 chocolate rice cakes, and then in the rice cake, they took a little bit of PB Fit, the powdered peanut butter, and they mixed it with some water. You can use almond milk, whatever, and just spread a little bit of it on each side. And then took a Greek yogurt and put some vanilla protein powder and mixed it up, and then put that on top of the peanut butter, put the other rice cake on top, made a little sandwich out of it, put it in the freezer, and made a little ice cream sandwich. So that way, you're getting your carbs, you're getting your protein, you're getting some fats in there. And if you eat that and you're like, this is delicious, and it doesn't feel like diet food, it doesn't feel like health food, if that's something that you eat and you're just kind of like, I legit just enjoy this, mwah, chef's kiss. That's where you want to be. You want to find the thing that is satisfying those cravings, that is a version, I hate to say just like good or bad version, a version that is giving you more. You know what I mean? That's satisfying your brain and is doing things for your body that you're actually hyped to eat. Are those things easy to find? Not always. But again, with the internet, if you're if you're like, well, I really, really love Big Macs. So, you can go online, there's Big Mac salads, there's like Big Mac dips, and there's all sorts of things to kind of satisfy that craving, that you can hit it without hitting up McDonald's every single day. There's always some sort of workarounds, especially you think of dishes that you really love. at restaurants and stuff like that. You're like, man, I love a good Chipotle bowl. How could I do my own version where I can control the ingredients and it's a little bit more balanced and it's going to help me reach my goals? Google search, Pinterest search, whatever. Don't you worry, you're going to find some ideas, and then you just kind of play around with that till you find the thing that hits the sweet spot. The thing that sucks about this is it does require some work. It requires to use your brain and experiment and try some different things and join some groups and have some advice and think of some ideas for some things like that ice cream sandwich. I didn't think of that, but TikTok gave me that idea, and I'm like, dang, well, let me try it. And if I'm like, this kind of sucks, it could use this, or I could change it this way, then that's the secret. You know what I mean? Like, you might not have thought about making some Kodiak cakes as your nighttime snack, and making Kodiak cakes as your nighttime snack works for me because otherwise I just want to sit there and kind of eat something sweet at night. And that is something I'm sure I could probably train myself out of somehow, but I don't know. I don't feel like it. It's just the honest answer. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. What are you going to do? So I'd say, give in a little bit. If you got something in your head, you're like, man, I need some ice cream cake, then have a little bit of it. You don't have to go ham on it. You know what I mean? Like, give into those cravings sometimes, but you don't have to do it all the time. But letting yourself know, like, this is, again, going into the lifestyle, not a diet. I don't think anything should be completely off limits. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know Red Bull is not good for me at all, but man, did I used to have a hardcore Red Bull addiction. So I'd say about maybe once or twice a year now I have a Red Bull. If I'm on a road trip, I'm hella tired. I can't get an iced Americano because that's my jam. Well, you know what? I'm going to get a Red Bull. I never said never, ever again. The thing is, I have said never, ever again too. And I'm not even saying I'm going to stick to this. This was at the beginning of my journey was, no soda, no fast food, because I couldn't have a good relationship with those things. I knew it had to be an all or nothing with those things in particular at the beginning of my journey. So I said no to those things. And then once I'm in a place where I am now, where I could have a healthy relationship with those things, I just don't even want to. To curb the soda, drinking, because I drink an insane amount of Dr. Pepper. That's when I started trying to make the switch over to coffee from Red Bull. And I also just drank a butt ton of water with lemon because, having some flavored water kind of helped with that. So that was kind of my own personal workaround with that. And with the fast food, after a while, I just realized I didn't miss it. It was just the convenience. But whenever I had stuff at home that was more convenient and I started planning more for that, then I didn't need the convenience of fast food. And now I don't even miss it. I don't even want it. It's just like, I don't even need it. I don't even crave it anymore. And I think certain things you'll find after you find some workarounds for stuff that you're not even going to crave those things as much anymore. And it's kind of the out of sight, out of mind thing. That's how I am with cheese balls. I mean, I don't know why I just love cheese balls so much, but if they're not in the house, I'm not thinking about them. I mean, if I see them at the store, I think about them. But they're not really around, so I don't really want them. And even now when they are around, I know exactly how I feel if I binge on them. I'll feel so disgusting, mentally and physically. I'll just feel like, when you just like feel like you're just like a grease ball, like a brick sitting in your stomach. I'm like, do I want to feel like that for a couple of hours? I kind of don't. So I kind of don't want them. Does that always work? No. Sometimes I'll binge them still. I haven't binged cheese balls in a while though, but I'm not saying I won't. And I think that's also part of this process, especially thinking about cravings. Like, nothing is ever going to just completely go away. To tell yourself that you're going to get to some magical, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow where you're not going to crave this stuff anymore is insane and unrealistic. Of course you are. It's just working with the tools in your relationship around those things. And sometimes you're going to do great and sometimes you're not. But as long as you're doing great 80% of the time, then the 20% isn't going to completely obliterate everything that you've worked for or all of your goals. You know what I'm saying? That's a good balance of just, hey, like for me, I don't really drink that much alcohol, but I know on certain occasions I'm going to go drink and, make some bad food decisions. And I'm going to have a day of just like, where I want to go floating down the river and I'm going to drink a bunch of booze and I'm going to probably eat some burgers and pizza and whatever. And it's like, that's fine. That's living my best life that day. And then the next day you make some other decisions. I mean, considering how hungover you are, I mean, the bad decisions could continue. And then from there, you got to start making some other decisions. So it's all just, I think, realizing a balance, finding workarounds. And if you're craving something so hard, give yourself a little bit of it and see if that helps and move from there and find some workarounds. That is my best advice. And I think from there of trying to implement those things, especially if you're first getting started, that it's going to take a minute. You know, you're not going to go to perfection. And I am 1000% guilty of this. And I think a lot of us are seeking perfection in this health and wellness journey of this all or nothing. It's got to be all kale and smoothies, or it's going to be milkshakes and French fries. But it can be both. Like it can be both, and you can still absolutely hit your goals and still feel great while doing both. It's just going to take some practice and a lot of conversations with yourself. And it's not going to be the easiest thing on earth, but that's also what's going to make it absolutely worth it. And it's going to what makes you proud of yourself and give you that momentum to move forward. The hard parts are helping you move along. And I know that's hard to say or think of when you're actually in those hard moments, but it's so true. Of those moments are what's going to help you move forward. Sometimes it'll completely obliterate you, set you off track, but ultimately, if you're choosing of like, hey, you know, living a healthy lifestyle, whatever your goals are, is worth it, and you get back on the wagon or whatever, that has become a learning experience. Ultimately, it's going to propel you forward in some sort of way because you're going to know something more about yourself. You're going to learn something out of it. And I think that thinking of it through that lens is super helpful, even though in the moment, I know you're not thinking of it that way. I don't think of that way in the moment either, but that's why you step back, get some clarity, think on it, and then come up with a plan from there. Again, not super easy. It's not just like, hey, you want to get rid of cravings? Do this. And then you're set for life. It's a lot of maneuvering and massaging, and it's totally different for every single person. What works for me might not work for you. It might work great. I don't know. Well, you know, that's just part of having a crew and a team and having, you know, people to bounce back off of and figuring out like, well, this works for me and I'm going to try it. Oh, I don't really like the Kodiak cake thing at night. That makes me feel gross. I'm kind of spooked out about eating carbs at night. Then don't do it. Because it works for me doesn't mean it works for everybody. You know what I mean? So give it a shot. Doesn't work? Try something else. Or you might try something and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then 3 months later, it's not working for you anymore. That means you got to try something else. It is a process. It is a lifestyle. Our lives change every day. Our body changes every day. I mean, just aging, just living on this planet, things change and you kind of got to go with the flow, which means what you do one day doesn't mean it's going to work exactly the same way the next day. And I think once that you kind of come to the realization of that and flow with it, then I think this process works so much better, including with things like cravings. So hopefully that answers the question. I hope. If you ever have any more questions or you want to elaborate on this topic, please reach out to me. You can always email me, amanda@amandavalentinebites.com, or you can find me on Instagram at You Can Pound This. I'm also on Facebook at Amanda Valentine Bites. And I think that's the best way to get a hold of me. And thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If I could speak here, thank you for listening to this podcast. There we go. Appreciate you. Talk to you later. Bye.
For info on health coaching and more, go to AmandaValentineBites.com.